Lance and welcome to Bundy Bears Shed. Well, what's happened this week? Well, first week back at work this week. So I didn't go to work Monday. I thought, nah, Tuesday's good. So the shop was open Monday, but I went on Tuesday. And yeah, it was sort of one of those things, your mind wasn't in work mode for the first day, I suppose, and you struggle along and you read your notes from before the break and try and work out where you were, what you told people you would do, who should be ringing. I should check whether this part's turned up and that part's turned up, etc, etc. But anyway, we survived. We got through it okay, and so not a lot exciting happened, but there's a few progressions with the tractor. I put most of my brake into the tractor and I did big days on it. And I started around 5 in the morning and I'd keep going, whiz up the house for half an hour for lunch and come back and work till 5 or 6 in the evening. And well, the tractor's looking nice. I got a lot done. I spent a lot of time sanding and getting broken bolts out. And some of this clip you'll see us getting a broken bolt out of a stabiliser bracket. And some of the pins that the arms hook onto, they were quite worn, and we had to pop them out and put them in the lathe and spin them up and just true them up, and where there's a shoulder where it should bolt up square against the shoulder, that was tapered, so we had to tidy that up a little bit. And I've also shown you a little bit of a diamond tool holder that I use from time to time, and yeah, it's a great little tool. I think I called it trapezoid or something, but it's tangenic or something like that. Anyway, whatever I say, it'll be wrong from here on in with that one. So, well, look, have a look at it. It's a diamond tool holder, they call it, and it's from Eccentric Engineering in Australia. And they have a website, and they have a few good things, and they also have a grinder. I think it's a different type of tool grinder sort of attachment coming up soon. But anyway, have a look at their website and you'll find out what I'm on about, really. Yeah. But look, the tools are great. If you're on a budget and you just want a tool that you can sharpen, you can buy a piece of 1/4 inch tool steel and pop in it. You can put a piece of round in it for profiling. You just take your tool steel out, pop it in the jig, put it against the grinding wheel, sharpen him up and away you go again. So if you're on a budget, great thing. And for setting heights and all that, it's a great tool as well. And it's Australian made, so us Aussies, we like to back Australian made stuff. If we don't buy it, who will? Yeah. But the Aussie dollar, I bought some parts in from America for the John Deere the other day, and the Aussie dollar's not sailing real well. We're looking at about 68 cents for one Aussie dollar. So I bought for this John Deere, there's a particular PDO guard that goes on the back, and you can't buy them new from John Deere, you can't buy them off John Deere Vintage, anything like that, and I can't find one around Australia. So anyway, I got onto this fella in America and he had one. So by the time it was $175 I'd paid for it, that's American dollars. By the time I paid $175 American and $68 American freight, I think. But anyway, the end result was this little PDO guard has cost me 345 Australian dollars to bring into the country and put onto my tractor. But that's the way it goes. You know, it's something that makes the tractor more complete. I never see tractors with this little guard on them. It just must be too hard for everyone to do. So I thought I'd take the opportunity and get this PDO guard. And another reason is the tractor will be out in the public all the time, and if we bump the PDO lever on by mistake and it's turning and someone gets caught up in it or something like that, well, you just don't want that. And so we've tried to make the little tractor as safe as we can to take places. And on my holidays, I've got the old girl painted, and I sanded and sanded and sanded and sanded, and then I bloody well sanded some more. It's come up nice. We've got the green on. I had the wheels done a while back, and the John Deere yellow paint, I find yellow a hard colour to cover with. You need quite a few more coats because it seems to be a thin colour, and it's very good paint. Like, we've bought the best quality paint we can. It's 2-pack paint, so it's a chemical cure, and it's top quality paint. But I'd painted them, and I just wasn't happy. If you got it in the light, in some ways, you could see that you could nearly see through it in some areas, you know, where there was a bit of a shadow. So I didn't like that. So I sanded the wheels and we painted them again, and they got another 6 coats of yellow before it actually covered to how I'd liked. And around one of the valve stems, the rust had got into it, and I had to put a patch in the rim around the valve stem. And where I'd done that earlier, it was one of those things, you walk past it and you look at it and you think, just not happy with that. So anyway, I ground all that and polished it and took the edges off and just tidied that up. So far happier in my own mind with the job now. And we still have some to do though. We had some rain coming, and I painted the tractor probably a day earlier than I had on my plan, and in doing that I beat the rain, so I got a good gloss on it. And as with painting tractors and things, there's always a little area you find where you haven't, there's been a shadow for the spray gun. So I've got a couple of little touch-ups to do, but it's good. The wheels have come up good. I've got them on. Last Monday, because my wheels were painted all nice and tidy, I didn't really want a tyre fitter coming in a hurry and just bang, clang and bash them on. And they're about $90 an hour, a tyre fitter. And I thought, that'd piss me off. I'd get grumpy. And if I'd gone to all the trouble to paint my rims and someone just jumped in and they sent the lad and the job wasn't like I'd like, so I thought, oh bugger it, I'll fit them myself. So that was last Monday. Well, I don't know what those tyre fitters are on, what money they're on, but I reckon it's about half as much as they're worth. It's just hard work. The front tyres are 716s, but they were no trouble at all. 5 minutes a piece and they're all ready to go. But the back ones, they're 38-inch rims, and they stand around 5'6" tall, I suppose. And to get them in, you've got to lay the tyre on the ground, put the rim on, because I didn't have the tractor where we could actually sit the rim on and do it on the tractor. So I had to lay them on the ground, get the rim in, stand it up, clean it all out, blow it out, inflate the tube, let the tube air out, put the tube in, put it back down on the ground, to get that bit in, and then stand it up again and put a bit of soapy water around the rim and then blow them up. So by the time you spend the morning up and down with these bloody big rims, I was feeling old at the end of the day. Yeah, that's what I get for sitting on my arse in an office, really, doesn't it? It was hard work, but it's come up nice. So this episode, we'll take you for a walk around the tractor. There's still quite a lot of work to do on the tractor. It's just the main chassis and main frame, engine, gearbox, diff, final drives and all that that's been painted. In painting it a bit early, I didn't have time to get the linkage arms at the back and the seat frame sorted out. So that has to happen. And I also have to deal with the bonnet and the nose cone, the panels. It's a style tractor, and the panels need quite a bit of work. So that'll take me a couple of weeks yet. So the tractor's still a couple of months away from being finished. And that's fine, it's not a race. I'd just rather take my time and do it nicely. But with the wheels on, that made it mobile. So yesterday I got duty on the rider mower, and we towed it out of the hoist bay and around the front of the shed. We've got it in a front bay in a far cooler to work in working bay. And so we got around there yesterday, and there was a bit of scratching. Yeah, she was looking, the little rider mower, she was looking for a bit of traction. I had another tractor there, but the rider mower was just compact to get into the shed and around and out again if we needed to. So we hooked a chain up and got it in, and so now it's just sitting over this direction over here, and it's in a bay where the breeze comes in of an afternoon, and it's just a nice place to work on. And I don't know if you've ever done really long projects. when you shift them out of the one bay that you've had them in for a long time, you shift them into a new bay and it gives you a new set of eyes. You get a new lease of life and you think, oh, this is nice, and away you go. But the other thing that's done for us is I bought this tractor in, look, I can't remember, it was April or May last year, and I brought it home, cleaned it, put it on the hoist, pulled the wheels off, and well, the hoist's been loaded for that time. So I have a ute that just come up for a service, my Triton. Judy, my missus, she's been on to me for months for about getting a little Yaris serviced, and I was all saying, oh yeah, I'll just get the wheels on the tractor and we'll do it. So anyway, I finally got it out of there, and my daughter Adele, she got a little Fiesta, Ford Fiesta, and it needs a service too. It's overdue. So because I've been buggering around with my tractor, I'm a little bit behind in the servicing. So probably next weekend I'm trying to get them all arranged to, so we can get the oil and the filters and the knickknacks that we need to service the tractors. So one day next weekend we'll service all the cars up, and that'll be something I've been behind on because I've been too interested in this tractor to do it. But then I didn't have the wherewithal to roll the tractor off the hoist and do a service and roll it back on again. So anyway, that's all good now. I can service all the vehicles. But through the week I did a bit of, a few little eBay purchases came in. Just knickknacks I've seen on other people's sites and that I thought I'd have a play with. And I always find with, on the milling machine, the end finders, the edge finders, I always like playing with edge finders and, wigglers and things like that. So I saw this one here on eBay for $18, something like that. And I do have an electronic one, and this has a little light that comes on here and it beeps. I need the proper batteries for this. I put one battery in that was too small and it beeped, but the light didn't come on. But the other little one you've seen me use, it sits in the milling machine, and it's got a little brass tang that's 200 millimeters, or 200 thou, sorry, thick. But you bring it up and touch your job, and then you have to turn it because it is very easy to get that bent. So the thing I liked about this one is when you bring the ball up and touch the ball, you have a little bit of the ball will move sideways on a spring. So when you touch it, if you touch it a bit hard, it can't get out of whack. It looks like 3/4 on the stem here, so we'd have to put it in a collet to do that, and that's no problem. We always have the collet there, but yeah, so that was a little purchase this week. Yeah, the batteries just go down the end there, and it looks like it's made quite well. And there's a company, Vertex, that makes lathe equipment and lathe tools, and my rotary tables are Vertex. And this sign up here looks very much like a Vertex sign. But I don't know whether it's a subsidiary of Vertex or Vertex is the Australian version, or this is just the Chinese nicking stuff. But anyway, that'll be a good thing. It comes in a nice box. Yeah, so it won't be hard to keep it in good order and keep it looked after. And yeah, so anyway, I just like edge finders and things, so I thought I'd buy one of them. And the other thing I did was bought a couple of these little blokes. And I got two of these into Australia for like $18 or $14 might have been. And yeah, little dial indicators. They're obviously a knockoff of a Noga. They're very small, which that's fine. They have a little dovetail up in this end here, so you can put your dial indicator in. And the other reason I got it was for the camera. I should be able to turn up a little thread, put in the end here, and get the camera in a few more, a few better spots. I'll probably look for a Noga, a bigger one, and but this will sit up on the end of the lathe, and being a steel shed, sometimes I can just clamp a bit of steel out off the main frame of the shed, and I could put this up there, and that'd take any vibration out. So I bought two of those just for good measure, really. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. I'll make up a little quarter thread and put it on the camera, and hopefully we'll get a few better angles. I find when I'm on the lathe, trying to get good video of me doing stuff on the lathe, either the carriage is in the way or I'm in the way, or it's just hard to get nice shots of it. And there's a steel girder in the shed right behind the lathe, and I could bring out, I could clamp on a bit of 2" by 1/4 or something like that, and put that magnetic stand out there, and I could probably get straight down the spindle or straight above the spindle. So that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. With the tractor being painted, I have to make a, I've put that alternator on so the tractor's more usable to us, but in doing that the wiring harness was rubbish. It was old and buggered, and so I have to make a wiring harness as well. So over the next week or so we'll make a new wiring harness. I just got the battery the other day. I think it's 400 cranking amp battery, which that's fine. We've done all the starter motor up. If you look at my Facebook page, Lance Maskell, M-A-S-K-E-L-L, there's an album on there on my Facebook page, and there's an album called 420H, and that's the work I've done on the John Deere over time. On the album, it's got the day I bought it home, where I saw it in the shed, quite a bit of info on it. Yeah, hop on and say g'day. Yeah, send us a friend request. I accept them all. Got a few hundred friends on there, and yeah, have a look at it if you're interested. Yeah, you better be careful though, because I swear a bit on it. Yes. Yeah, I reckon it's my Facebook page, so I can say it if I want to. So, yes. So if you're offended easily, it's probably not the place for you. But if you're just like a yarn and a bit of a joke and a bit of irreverent humour from time to time, yeah, hop on and have a look. Feel free. But part of doing the revamp on the John Deere 420 high crop is changing it from 6 volt to 12 volt. We've had to put another coil on, and I've had a look at whether I just put a normal coil on or a coil with a resistor. And back in the old days, they didn't have resistor coils and things like that. So we've decided to go with a GT40R coil. Now, these coils, they're a Bosch coil, and back in the days before electronic ignitions, this is what we used. If you popped your bonnet of your Holden up and you had a GT40R coil up there, well, oh, you're on your way to going fast, yeah. And so anyway, I went up to our local auto barn store and asked them, could you still get them? Because you can buy big Mallory coils and things like that, but on a vintage tractor it just wouldn't look right. So I wanted an original looking coil that would do the job, but the original ones didn't have a resistor. Now we've put a resistor on the tractor, and I'll take the camera for a walk over so you can have a look at it. But the resistor on a coil on a car, the new cars don't have them. If you have electronic ignition or an ignition system with no points in the distributor, well, a standard coil, high voltage coil, is okay. The resistor on an ignition coil, it takes you 12 volt, even though the coil will say 12 volt, the power comes from your ignition. You can put it through an ignition light to drop it to if you like, but it comes from your ignition to the coil, then, to the resistor, then from the resistor to the coil, the positive side of the coil, and then the negative side of the coil goes to the little terminal on the side of your distributor. So why have a resistor in the system? Well, a resistor in the system drops that voltage, that ignition voltage, from 12 volts down to around 9, even though the coils will still be marked 12. And what's the benefit of that? Well, these coils are wound that they still put out a terrific spark. It's a far stronger than the standard coil spark. And they're wound to run with a resistor. But the voltage dropping in the primary winding, it actually makes your points last a lot longer. So in a vehicle with a set of points, the old type points, and where you have to set them with a feeler gauge and things like that, having a resistor stops your points from arcing. And if you have the key on, sometimes you have the key on ignition if you're checking something out. The voltage, if your points are open, there's no trouble. If your points are closed, it's not real good because it's tracking to earth and they can get hot. Or if your points are barely touching, it'll arc across them, and you'll notice on the points there'll be a little mountain to file down. So we've decided to go with a resistor coil just so the points can last longer, and plus it's a high voltage coil with a high voltage spark, and having a hot spark in an old tractor is an advantage because you have ring wear and things like that. You know, they're not new, and you know, they may have a bit of oil usage and things like that. So running a hotter spark will make the spark plugs, or the chance of the spark plugs failing, a lot less. So, but anyway, look, stay tuned. I've already done the video for the getting bits and pieces out, but I still have to take you for a walk around the tractor, so we'll put that at the end of the video, and we'll show you what we've been up to. I'm quite pleased with it. We still have a lot of work to do, but it feels like a giant step in a project. So stay tuned. We'll get a bit of action happening for you. Well, I've been working away on my little John Deere tractor, and I've got one angle grinder that I've pulled it apart. The little brush holder inside's broken, and so I thought, oh well, I had a Makita angle grinder, and it was a battery powered angle grinder, an 18-volt one, and yeah, it had trouble too, which it's pretty old though. So anyway, we had to go to town yesterday to post some parcels to our customers because the business never stops with a website and an eBay store. It seems to yeah, just chug along. So in the middle of your holiday, you got to whiz in and pack some parcels and do a bit of business stuff. But so anyway, while I was in town, which is the only time I've been in town on over my 10-day Christmas break, you just about got to get a bomb under my arse to get me out the front door. I like being home playing in the shed, but while I had to go into town, we thought we'd drop in at Bunnings and I'd replace a couple of grinders. So I've replaced the little Makita battery one. It's an 18-volt battery one, and I've had a really good run out of them. I've got a lot of Makita stuff, and the reason I just keep buying the Makita stuff is because I've been all set up with the gear. I've got a couple of chargers and I've got probably 6 batteries and all that. So if I wasn't buying Makita, I'd probably be buying Milwaukee or something like that, DeWalt. But I started off on this many years ago, and so now it just makes sense to stay with it. So this little angle grinder, I usually leave the cover there, or the safety guard, a bit loose, so I can shift it to what angle I need to. But in buying them, I often buy Makita angle grinders too, the electric ones, the 240-volt powered ones. But at Bunnings yesterday they had these AEG ones, and this is a 5-inch, and well, I went for this one for a couple of reasons. The Makita one had about, I think it was 700 or 800 watts of power for the same size grinder. This one here has 1100 watts for a 5-inch grinder. And another thing that I really liked about it is there's a little button there, and you can press that button, and when you press it you can move the guard around to wherever you'd like it to be. So it might be easy to show you this way. Hold that and it locks in solid. So that's a good thing. But this is a knot brush, and this guard on it comes with 2 guards. This is your normal grinding guard, which leaves it open down the bottom so to give you access while you're grinding. But it also comes with this closed guard, and I thought that was a great idea for using these brushes. It keeps everything ahead of you. So in doing the John Deere tractor, there's a lot of wire brushing and tidying up housing. So yeah, I went for this because it had more power, and I liked the safety guard. The thing I don't particularly like about it is on the Makita products, the switch is up the top at the back here, and that's fine. I'm left-handed, so I often chuck these away, to tell you the truth. I'm probably not supposed to, but I do. And it makes them handy. But yeah, you can grab it with one hand, and usually my left hand, and engage it, and away you go and do a bit of grinding or whatever you'd like to do. But a criticism that I have of the AEG stuff is that the switch is on this side here, and so that means to get it going I've got to do that, then turn it across. So if we put this fella there where I normally have it, that's where it's not sitting on the bench, of course. But yeah, I've got to come in through there, which I suppose it's not such a bad thing. But yeah, just something I noticed. But while I was spending money, I thought, well, you can only bloody spend it once, eh? So I actually bought the Makita. I bought a 5-inch, sorry. And I also bought a 4-inch AEG. So yeah, we should have enough angle grinders for a little while. I usually have angle grinders that just do one job. If I have a 1mm cutting disc on this one, say, that will stay on it. If I have a grinding disc on it, that will stay on it. I don't muck around with it. I just have 6 or 7 grinders and away we go. And yeah, I have air ones and battery ones, and the battery ones are great for just wandering outside and cutting something off. But yeah, I don't know what I'll do with this one, whether I'll have a wire brush or I'll have a look and see what it goes best at. Wire brushing takes a bit of power sometimes, so another thing with this, for a 4-inch angle grinder, the Makita ones were around 700 watts and this is up to 900 watts. So anyway, I've never had them before. It still has the same quick release mechanism on the safety guard, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they go. Anyway, just a brand I've never played with before. But anyway, all that was $300, I think it was. Yeah, about 300 bucks. The little one here was 75, the big one was 95, and the Makita was $114. So yeah, not too bad. I'll actually take it for a little walk and I'll show you where my angle grinders sit. Right, they usually sit on the end of the bench there. There's 2 Hitachis. This Hitachi has a 1mm cutting disc on it. This Hitachi has a 100mm grinding disc on it. There's an air one there. There's a Makita that I'm using down on the floor there to clean this housing up. And there's an Iceman one. That's the one that's buggered up. I have to hold the cord sideways to keep it going, so that's not a real good idea. But anyway, that's where all the grinders go, over there. So I suppose there'll be a few more hanging there. And apart from the angle grinders, this is a sander that can be either orbital or a locked head. And yeah, we also have the little die grinders as well. So yeah, it looks like we've got the game covered. Well, yesterday I was trying to undo this housing, and look what happened. The bolt was that rusted in, I broke the head off it. There's the head there. It's a 3/4 bolt, so that'll be a little exercise this morning we do. We'll heat this up, heat down through here with the oxy, put some Stilsons on. And the reason we were getting this housing off was this pin's loose. I'll try and stay out of the light for you a bit. And that pin there, that's supposed to be a nice fit. But over the years it's got all sloppy, and this pin, this nut isn't holding it in firm anymore. So what the plan is to heat this up here, undo that nut out of there, take this here, you can see yep, there's a burr on here. We're going to put that in the lathe, we're going to square that up, and we might dress the surface on the housing so that when we tighten this back nut up here, yeah, it'll tighten up like it's supposed to. But anyway, I'd suggest we've got to get this out first, and that'll be the major one. I don't expect too much trouble. Usually you put a bit of heat around something like that, and it a little bit of heat and it comes good. There's a little pocket down here so you can get heat both sides in there. So anyway, we'll clamp it to the table and we'll give it some, I reckon. Right, I've got the housing here. It's clamped to the bench. Now the bench isn't going to move. That's a plate. It's about 28 inches across, 1.25 inch thick steel with 100mm square legs on it. So that's probably not going to move. But what we've done, I've clamped it to the top of the bench. Then under the pin here, because we're going to undo the bolt this way, I've clamped the flat of the castellated nut here against a piece of steel on the desk, or on the welding bench. So when we get some heat in and start pulling down on here, it'll give us something nice and strong to hold against. So I'll crank the oxy up. I might pan out just a little bit so you can see more of the whole job. Right, we've got that glowing now. I'll give it a bit of a tap just to try and break some of the rust. And there we go. Try and bring you around so you can see it coming if I can. It's still quite firm. I'm on a set of 24-inch pipe wrenches here, so and heating with the oxy, it just kills, the heat kills the rust, turns it into powder. Feels like it's very close to coming there. There we go. One bolt out. Now the thing that's probably important to do is remember not to touch that. So what I often do, I ride hot on it just as a reminder for myself, because yeah, I'll be known to forget and just pick things up. Away we go. But another thing we should do, while we have the oxy handy, is heat this nut up. If we heat that now, that'll just kill the rust. I'll just try and adjust the camera so it's in centre shot a little bit. And I'll start the oxy up and we'll have a go at that end. Right, the next thing is heat this up. I've put a bolt in here because that turns. We're holding it with a nut down the other end here, which you can't quite see, just on the other end of this shaft. And it turns because it's on a nut. So when we go to undo this one, we have a bolt there that will give us a bit of a chance to do it. So we'll start the oxy up and we'll get it happening. Right, it's glowing nice and red, so that should be enough. Hopefully by the time we get it up to touching here, it'll be nice and free. So. Yeah, that's feeling nice. This casting here that I heated up before, we don't chuck it in water and quench it or anything like that. It changes the property of the metal a little bit, and filling it too quick on a cast can actually crack it, so it's just not worth the hassle. So just be patient, it's the name of the game. What I also like to do is tap this a bit, and it'll help stretch it just a bit. See the difference that made? They call me lightning. Never strike the same place twice. There's an urge to grab that and give it a turn. There we go. So if we unclamp this now from the far end, that's a bit hot. And there's the shaft. And what we're looking to do is sit this in the lathe now and turn that little edge up. And this surface here does look pretty good. So probably if we just square this shoulder again, that'll tighten up nicely, and that'll hold the linkage arm. The lower arm that goes on the implement goes onto this end of the pin here. Now we've got the shaft set up in the lathe over here. I might be able to give you a bit of a look at that just down there. But to do the shoulder, I'm going to use a trapezoid tool. I think that's what they call them. It's a great little tool. It's called a diamond tool holder, made by an Aussie company, Eccentric Engineering, and it uses high-speed steel tips. I use some with 5% cobalt. You can get more cobalt in them now, and you can set your height, and because of that angle, the heat comes down in here. And I've done some terrifically big cuts with these old girls. And the tip that we're using here today though, it needs a sharpen. It's quite dull. So when you buy the tool, they actually give you a little guide, and you put the piece of steel, tool steel, in the guide, and then you put it up against the grinder, and that sets the angle for you. And look, it's a great little tool. I use a lot of carbide tooling, but in using carbide tooling, there's a lot of pressure goes on the job quite often, and a lot of times that doesn't matter. But if I'm doing a little bit of modelling or something I want a really nice smooth finish on, I always use these. But the reason I'm using it on this one is just because I need to come back towards the tailstock and do a bit of turning towards there. So anyway, I'll sharpen this up and we'll get it going and see what it looks like. Yeah, the tool sits in this. I'll try and get that to focus. Tool sits in this little jig. You bring the jig up against the grinding stone, like so, run him across, and that sets it. What I normally do then is I put it on the stone as well, and just to take any little burr off the edges. So it looks like I should probably turn this around. Okay, it's covering the whole width of it. And then all I do for a quick surface is just come up the side like that. And that's your tool, all ready to rock and roll. Now I have a quick change tool post here, so it's not hard to raise and lower a tool to get it onto centre height. But one advantage if you don't have one of those for these little tools is that where you have an Allen key in the back there, you can actually adjust the height very quickly without one. But yeah, you can do some quite heavy cuts with these. I often don't, I use the carbide for the heavy cuts, but if you're on a nice job, this does it. But anyway, they should have me on commission, shouldn't they, I reckon. Eccentric engineering, and it's a diamond tool holder. You can buy left and right ones, and yeah, the cheapness of just buying a bit of 1/4 inch tool steel and sharpening it quickly and easily. You haven't got to worry about relief angles. You don't have a chip breaker as such, but it seems to work well. But anyway, yeah, if you, while the Aussie dollar's down, go and knock yourself out and get one, and yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. Well, a 1-inch shaft, turning a 1-inch shaft with tool steel, you're looking at around, what, 600 RPM, I believe, 500 or 600 in there. So anyway, we'll do a run at 640, which is C3 on my lathe, and we'll just have a bit of a go, see what happens. And look, what I might even do is actually true the job up first. Gosh, it's bloody hard to get good help in it. Look at that, one there. If we take half of that one there, zero it again, turn it 180, yeah, we're looking good. On the other axis we have 3.5 there. So we'll just take a little bit of that. I buggered that up a bit. That's right, so we just need to come back to zero from this fella. That's alright on that little rough surface of there, so I'm happy. Now back to where we were before we were so rudely interrupted by a bit of a brain fart. That's plenty off that. That's a lovely sharp edge. It'll bite onto the front of that housing there. Now this thread here, that's a bit crooked too. So we might just run a die nut over that while we have it in the lathe. And clean it up. Sometimes, like that shaft would not be hard for us to make, a new one. But I'm always in favour of leaving as many original parts as you can on a tractor. Like just a little tidy up and a few things like that. It's going to look good on the tractor, but yeah, the original parts are always just a bit better, I feel. But you know, and there's no doubt we could make that. Like there's no trouble there at all. It's not complicated. We have a centre, we have a split pin hole or a cotter hole and a thread there. So, but anyway, I just prefer to use the original parts where possible, and when not possible, that's when we make stuff. Or if you can't buy a part, which is quite common. So anyway, I might just take this little bird there, I might just take that off. And that'll do for the moment. Right, we have a die nut. One thing about all the American stuff, it's all UNF threads. So that's certainly an advantage. Well, at least to me, I like working with it, but I'm an old John Deere man, so. Some of the new American John Deere tractors have metric bolts. They have well, I haven't checked into it yet myself, but I've been told that they have a bolt factory over in Europe, and a lot of the stuff are coming out, a lot of the stuff is coming out metric. They use a one bolt supply worldwide and ship them around. Probably not for the engines so much, but I'm just not sure. I haven't looked into it yet, it was just a discussion we had, so I'll just deepen that thread just a little bit, just to make sure that when the linkage arm goes on this part here, it has enough thread to allow for a bit of wear and come up nice and tight. Look at that, lovely. If you blokes didn't know me, you'd think I knew what I was doing, eh? But yeah, that's not a bad job. See this little thing here? That's how sharp these tools get. Yeah. And it's held an edge. That's after doing the cut on here. It's still got a beauty edge on it. But anyway, no compo in Bundy Bears Shed. We'll have to soldier on. I shouldn't bleed. Well, there you go. You ever seen such a flash looking tractor? It's come up quite nice. This is the other bay. Yeah, I'm standing in the doorway now and you get a lovely breeze. But we got it all painted up. The wheels come up nice. They're a bit hard to focus on the wheels. But that's your standard valve stem. And around the other side here, that's the one I did myself. So look, it's pretty close, it's not too bad. We've got new wheel studs. All the old wheel studs were getting quite rusty on the head. That's one I tried to tidy up a bit, but no, it just wasn't good enough. So we've done that. We've got to touch up the paint there. We have to put the seat on, the steering wheel's on. Oh, a bit of backlight there, we don't want that, do we? And the starter's all been done, detailed. I've done all that. I've fully reconditioned the distributor myself. Got that going. The alternator belt's on. Now, the coil sits up here. The bonnet sits above this radiator here, so we've got quite a bit of clearance there. We've got the lights on. There's a little light at the back there. We've got the hydraulic knobs all done, all tidied up. We've put tie down points so that when we take it to places, we've got new rubbers up here after we painted it. We've put the tie downs on so that when we take it out and about, we don't scratch the paint by getting it, by strapping anywhere else. We can hook into there nicely. We've gone We've got quite a bit of detail around the carby. There's a overflow drain on the sump. That's new. All these little carby parts, they're all new and polished. We've put the stainless steel exhaust on. The lights are all on, so I have distances to wire things to, so I know where I'm going. Now I still need to make a hydraulic pipe to go here. It has to come down along this pipe here and hook up to a terminal, a fitting just in there. So that'll probably happen today, and it's very high, so we have to organise a step to hop on, and we've put a new fuel bowl on, and coming around the back, so you've got a nice gloss, and underneath that was one of the pins that we did in the video, and above that we have a tie down, one on each side, and so we still have to do the seat frame. That's all new tyres. You've seen them before in our videos, where I think that was $2,000 just for the tyres. So yeah, you got to be prepared to spend a couple of dollars. All the caps are done. The caps came in and they all needed painting. They were all zinc, so they needed sanding back and priming. So yeah, look, the tractor is coming up nice. I'm quite happy with the result. We've got a good gloss. There is a few little shady areas. Where you spray. I'll show you one that I know where it is. Down in there. See, there's not much paint coverage in there. But anyway, the bonnet comes to down here. No one will see that, but we'll fix that anyway. It's got to be right. But all the hydraulics, that was the hydraulics that we were fixing. If you remember we made a washer for the hydraulics. That hides in there now. And there's springs to help the hydraulics down. I didn't have that, I had to bring all that in from America. But the dash panel's painted, but all this wiring, all that there is redundant. We don't need that anymore. So that'll all come out. We'll rewire the dash, and yeah, we'll just see. But anyway, if we go out here a little bit and pan back out so you can get a picture of the whole thing once more. There you go. It's coming up nice. Once we get the bonnet and the front grille all painted and all that, it'll look good. So, but anyway, look, that's going to be a wrap for this week. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, hit like if you like it, make a comment. We don't mind having a chat. And I'll catch you next week, eh? See ya.